Now we're going back to our clear and liner paints here. So we're gonna got red liner, brown liner, and blue liner. We're going to use some of our clears over here. We've got a clear green, purple, and red. We got a blue as well. But we're also, because, I mean, this is me. If it's going me, it's got to be object source lighting, which means we're going to be breaking out ye old fluorescent paints. Boom, like so. Well, actually, we got the green out here on the palette. We'll throw the orange over here somewhere where orange is going to go. I was actually already using this palette, which is kind of why it's a wee bit more soiled than what you're used to, because we were filming a tutorial video right here. We were doing heraldry on some Knights of Dol Amroth. Might have recognized these from a previous Twitch session over here. Working on that. It's part of my army painting series. Now, I love doing the object source lighting, and I love doing some nice bright green, especially on things like Army of the Dead. Now we've got our craft sponges out here, like so. We got our big old brushes. We're going to get messy here, which means we go even bigger to start with. My number 12, we won't go with a 12. This is small enough to go with just a 10. So, potentially black robes with that freehand. Numbskull, how you doing? Yeah, this is me is painting me. How is that? That is going to be really fun. Actually, I got a 54 mil version of this. This is I just want to do this one because I can maybe build a diorama around it or something like that. So we have our non-metallic. We're going to have our freehand. I'm going to try and do a little OSL orange here, and this will be the green up here. Haven't figured out what Mr. Critter over here is going to be. Haven't figured that out yet, but what we have figured out is we're going to take a big old brush, big old paints, and we're going to be nice and neat. Bam. Because, I mean, yeah, we're staying in the lines. Well, sort of. If the entire miniature was a line, we're staying within the lines. Because this is me. I'm thinking of maybe giving him some kind of a reddish skin tone. Therefore, we're just sort of blasting him with some red liner paint. Yeah, this is the part where everybody runs away in terror because it's horrifying. Let's see. Who's that weirdo in the bottom left? Well, see, that is the other me. There's several me's. How do you think all this stuff gets painted? Do you seriously think it's the work of just one individual? There are clones everywhere. Now, the only disadvantage with clones is that each copy is a little more stupid than the first one. So, yeah, that's an issue, but we work around it. We work around it with our big old craft brushes. Oh, look at that. Big old makeup sponges. Boom. You start taking this stuff away, and what gets left behind, not just some shading, but even a little touch of color here gets left behind. It also, well, I don't know. Some people might say it's the rip the band-aid off kind of thing to get you jump-started. Because, oh my gosh, I don't know how many times I see people with the whole blank canvas syndrome, right? It's all just primed. White, black, gray, whatever. Doesn't matter. And they're just, they're just looking at it. They're literally just sitting there staring at that figure because they got no idea what to do. That's why when folks are doing oil paintings, they will just take some like burnt sienna, burnt umber, raw umber, whatever, something like that, and they'll just cover the whole darn surface with it. Beefing the hole. Yeah, now do you have this, the 28 mil, or do you have the 54? Or I don't know if they printed the 54 for me so that I could do a little bit more with it. I just figured, you know what, if I got this one, if there's cheers or whatever, this one could do like a little dance or do something, or he could be photographed with other guys. So look at this. In no time at all. Oh, let's just grab something else that's got primer on it here. Okay, how's about this? So we start off with this. Now we've got this. We got some color tinting in places. We got some value in places. Why not keep the party going here? Uh-oh. We got a raid from Crocodile. Thank you so much for the raid. You have entered my domain. And you're entering...
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Now, thanks for the follow. I'm going to actually move this thing out of the way so I can see these. That's better. So that's my freehand reference if you're wondering what that is. And thanks for the follow. Just the bits. This is actually me. Yes, indeed. You are looking at me. And Hawkman, how's it going? Oh, Chitin and Karamite. Hey, how are you doing there? Well, thanks for joining me here on, I guess it's, well, it's insane o'clock Saturday morning here. So in Europe, it's less insane o'clock. It's probably in the 8:35 to 9:35 range, something like that. In Australia, it's got to be supper time. Definitely got to be supper time. So we are getting ourselves some darks in our robe here. Again, that freehand that you're seeing right here where the brush is pointing, that's what we're going to be putting all in this right here.
Little hobbits, spark my ganja.
Thank you for the follow. Chinky73 Gandalf approves. Now the issue with object source lighting, people get so scared they say, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to mess it up." And we used to sit there and paint the whole darn thing, and then superimpose the OSL on top of it. And we said, "Why are we doing that? Why is that a good idea? Why not start with it?" We knew we wanted to have this be sort of a greenish thing here, right? So let's just, even though the washes are still not dry yet, we're gonna dive right in here.
Hello, little hobbits, spark my ganja.
As we get a follow from the Chief Raider, the architect of the raid, Crocodile. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So the fluorescent paints, well, object source lighting is, some would say, a super unhealthy obsession of mine. I would say it's normal. We'll debate that. As Twitch unfollowed me. You know what? I think that's got to be happening to me too. Actually, a lot of other people are saying this because there's people that I'm watching their stream for like the 12th time, and I'm looking at them going, how am I not followed? How am I not followed here? So I don't know if Twitch is treating us all as bots or what the heck is going on, but there is definitely some sort of conspiracy underway. So we actually have a little book over here. So like I said, we're gonna start with the object source lighting instead of ending with it. Now I do actually have a touch of the Pro Acryl light green. I think it's some like bright pale green, whatever. And that is a nice little opaque. That helps to accentuate our green here. Oh, it has a weird rollback that happens. Yeah, it happens. Okay, well, then I'm just going to have to constantly manage that list. So actually, oh look, you see those little faces there in the jar? That's me. I was just working on, what are they called? Subscriber badges. For whatever reason. Now, how long does it take for your, what the heck are they? Your emotes to be approved? Because I put mine out there to be approved days ago. Like 2 days ago, 3 days ago. I know that Twitch is not always the most fast and prompt of things, so wasn't really holding my breath. Speaking of holding my breath, let's keep going with the freehand here. Because, hey, this is wet. And it's not oils, but it means I can do some wet into wet blending, because why not? Okay. Well, then I'll just keep working on some more, because I think I just did one for each tier. I think I just did a second one for the first tier. I'm going to get 4 of them, I think, for the first tier. So, and actually, once this guy gets painted here, he'll probably become an emote. I mean, he's got to. He's me. right? He's me. Yes, here too. Here too. Now, actually, I've got, let me see if I've got in my pocket here. Aha! Yes. So one of these little guys. Now let me turn off this light. So actually, if you want to see, there's three different colors. There's blue, red, and green. But you can look at it. As I shine this light on there, it kind of gives me a hint at what gets put in shadow and what is not. Actually, it's just a little stupid like finger flashlight, like party favors here. There's a red one, a green one. Now the blue one just happens to kind of act like a black light. Oh, Chitnik Airmite says it only took a week and a half. Ah, well, one of the reasons why I'm here and not on YouTube anymore is because, well, YouTube basically kills my live streams. At 5 minutes in, I've had two of them killed, and I said, well, that's twice too many. So I just took it here. I said, to heck with this. I'm just going to do it here, and man, it's been way more fun over here. Just enjoying this so much more. So again, that fluorescent paint, you'd think it doesn't make that big a difference, but it, boy, does it ever. Does it ever. I'll show you some things like boom. So again, that is the fluorescent orange at work. Let's get a little closer here. It just, any other orange just looks like, it just looks dead by comparison. Oh, we got Wicked Elf Studios, or Wicked Elf Miniatures. Wicked Elf Miniatures, wait a minute. Wait, aha, boom. So this was in a previous stream here. See those vellum plants right there? You see all that? Yeah, go get yourself some of those at Wicked Elf Miniatures because reasons. Yeah, check those out. So we painted this in oils on a recent stream, like a couple of streams ago, something like that. But definitely, oh, butterflies too, because we might put butterflies on this. I might just put, or if you have vellum birds, did you do vellum birds? Because this is a new tutorial that I just finished here. This fountain. Just finished that up today. Actually, I'm going to be loading it. Whenever we're done here, I'm going to start the upload to YouTube for that. So you can see we haven't done anything else here yet, but we are starting to figure out exactly where all of this object source lighting is going to go.
Who enters my
Oh, Jinxed Art. Jinxed Art. Oh, she ended early. Now that's you go follow Jinxed Art. I won't be typing here because my keyboard's not super accessible at this point, but go over there and you will enter the boneyard there because there's plenty of skulls, and she does some nifty 2D art, some wood burning. Oh, thanks for the shout out, Chitin. I appreciate that. Actually, let's see. I was starting to work with some, not just badges for moderators. I think that's a deal there. So I'm gonna try and make some mod badges, and then we can have the mod squad, which I'm sure like there's a bazillion pages that already do something like that. So my guess is not original. My guess is probably not so original. Now we're gonna do this already. So we got the greens there. Zoink. We make it black and white. The object is to have, well, this is object source lighting. Oh, let's see, birds. I did, but they're on watercolor paper stock. And send a link to. Okay. Yeah, that would be the Skull Collector. Well, welcome in. Thanks again for keeping me company in between the filming of the video. Which this is what I was filming here. So I was doing all this stuff with the freehands because this is the freehands now. See this thing over here on the right hand side of the screen? That is what we're going to put on Yield Cloak over here. So, yep, we got stuff to do. Let's just get that put over there and let's lock it in place. Because there's another fountain too, and well, of course, I've got some other nifty things that'll be very cool for the butterflies. Yes, vellum butterflies. I don't have anything around that actually has them on there, but if you check out the Instagram page, you'll see some dark sword figures that have vellum butterflies. Now, of course, you might eventually see some dire butterflies on some of my dioramas and larger pieces, because who doesn't want dire butterflies? Ah, those are really nifty emotes, right? I love the skull emotes there. It's quite appropriate. Oh, actually, now does the skeleton behind you, does he have a name, or perhaps she? Because I meant to ask during the stream, but I forgot. Let's keep going with some more lights here. Again, we haven't done anything else here, but we are figuring out where the heck all this object source lighting is going to go. Now, let's not have that be quite as bright here. There we go. Again, big old brushes working fast. Big old brushes working fast. Now, we also don't want to forget our orange down on the bottom here. I was just waiting for some of that to dry. So that needs to dry a little bit more before I can mess with that. All right, what else is going to get hit by some of this? Some of this here. My hair. That's one way of hiding the gray. Well, actually, I don't have gray hair. That's the weirdest thing. Her name is Indiana Bones. Yes. Yeah. Okay. That's that. Now, does Indiana Bones play in the occipital lobes band? I guess that is the next question. That's the next question. Let's keep in touch with our OSL here. And I also got to figure out what the heck is OSL and which part is actually like a tree or staff, I guess, since this is a sort of a paint wizardy type thing here. So again, we're developing the object source lighting first. Let me see if I can zoom in for you here too. There we go. I want to make sure we're still in focus. Focus. There we go. Indiana Bones. That is classic. Now, do you usually do the kind of the late night streams too? Like, well, we do here, or at least I do here. Because this just tends to be, if you're a denizen of Wappelville here, you tend to be up in the early morning hours. And now it's especially cruel because the sun comes out when I'm going to bed. That is definitely cruel indeed. All right. So something I see a lot with object source lighting is that people are making the light source darker than basically the light itself. It's really weird. Classic thing. Somebody wearing white robes, say Gandalf, Sauron, whatever you do in Lord of the Rings, and you'll see Gandalf's blue staff, and it's casting a blue light, and yet there's this dark blue stain on Gandalf's robes, and I'm wondering what that is, and then I realize, oh, yeah, somebody wanted blue light, but what they didn't really realize is that you gotta put shadows. If you want to have light, you must have dark. Now, I'm gonna look for, so the legendary Cheeto here, we're going to do this. So you can see how we've got our orange, and it's just kind of bouncing all over the place, but we've got blues here. We got something to contrast with those oranges. Here we got basically very dull grays to contrast, because we're going to go back, usually from 9 p.m. or 12 Pacific Standard. Okay, yeah, well, you know me, I'm in the central zone here. So we kill the color again, but yet we still got a flamey effect. Look at all that. Then we bring it back, boom. Still got your nifty orange going on. Speaking of orange, let's see if we can start to incorporate some orange down here. And there's still some wet paint, so it's going to mostly mix in with what I've got, which is not a problem. Not a problem. We gotta get some, look at that, some of our orange over there. Or even gonna cast a little bit of that over here. A little bit of the orange over there. And again, I just wanna do this now. Why sit there and wait? Why sit there and wait? What we're now gonna do is, let's see if we want to make this little devil red here. And we'll do him red because, well, Chicago Bulls, Chicago Blackhawks, so red is appropriate. I think you sense a sports theme to this. So 9 minutes. So okay, well, now that you, well, as long as it doesn't unfollow like Twitch seems to be doing here, I will try to join in. We'll have to have yours and Drax's streams on at the same time. If Drax is also doing his. Alright, we're just gonna, again, we're just dropping this in here. Don't really care what the heck it looks like. We are not being neat and staying in the lines or anything like that. I wonder what the heck that is. Oh, maybe that's supposed to be like a wet palette or something. Maybe that's supposed to be a wet palette in there. Again, this is, I am painting me. I am holding me in my hand, a mini me. Yeah, now let's start to brighten this up a bit because we can and because we are working fast with a big brush. We also get to do a little bit of wet blending here. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So we know if the robe is going to be black with all of those designs on it, we have to, in some ways we have to simplify some areas too, because you can't just have a visual frenzy everywhere. I also am going to, in some parts of these reds, do something that's a bit cooler. And by cooler, I mean just work in some blues in the red. And I will show you as he has a little chance to dry here. We'll show you another Artisan Guild figure here. So, we got lots of different reds. And look here on the wings, that is practically a grayish purple. Look in some of these shadow areas here. Again, almost like a bluish color, almost like a gray. We spin this around. These reds are different here. These are actually very muted. Oh yes, George Seeley, thank you. That is definitely the Book of Wappel. And, well, obviously, Chapter 1, Verse 1 is, if a color goes somewhere, it must go everywhere. So if we're doing that, well, that means we got to have some of that on our sword blade. If we're doing that, we've got to have something over here maybe that also indicates a little bit of that same color. Let's start to do some skin tones. And hey, I actually can, you know how I take my skin tone colors and paint it on me? Well, for once now, I literally can just paint my skin and match my skin. Yeah, I can do that now. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that again, but it's fun. Yeah, let's get a little bit of wood color too on this. Remember, color goes somewhere, must go everywhere. That is chapter 1, baby. Chapter 1. Oh, yeah, what to say, that skin. Oh, look, check it out. There's more craft brushes back here. Oh, they're actually going to do everything in clears and liners. Well, a good chunk of it, however, the most powerful paint color in the world, Faded Ultramarine, if you ignore it, it just gets on the palette itself. See, it just jumped on the palette. Don't know how it got there. It just did because it's that powerful. Probably going to use some of the bright ivory here too, because the Pro Acryls, like, you know, they cover like mad. And if I want to get this as intense as I want it to be, well, I'm going to have to incorporate some of that white in there. Now, I'm even going to mix a little bit of fluorescent green. Start seeing what kind of a skin tone we get here. So, yeah, we're getting there. The ivory, what's the other one? There is a pale yellow that is a very nifty one. And actually that pale green, that one is really nice to use also. So we're sticking with the big old brushes here. Now, it just depends on how much of the 5 o'clock shadow I want to give myself, because I kind of have that perpetually. It's like I haven't even shaved yet, and it's grown back everywhere I've shaved. And it's just okay. All right. So we got gemstone there. We got craft brushes back here. We got craft brushes over here. Just mark some more territory. Let's mark some more territory. Let's see what we want to do with our little scrolls down here. Let's see if we can find ourselves a scrolly color. And mix a little bit of yellow into this. That's more like it. I'm just going to start to map out what's here, because I don't really know. I mean, I'm looking, oh look, there's another scroll over here. So I bet you these scrolls, those also have to be verses from the Book of Wappel. They gotta be. You know that. Oh, why not do a little bit of maybe striping here? All right. Oh, let's see. We got some kind of either leather or armor over there, which leads me to armor and maybe a little bit of non-metallic metals, because we can do that too. These are the early phases. Early phases here. We're just, again, figuring out what color goes where. And that includes the black. So, and black is never just black. Oh, let's see. We could 5 a.m. shadow. That's 5 a.m. I like that. Actually, it's 5 a.m., 2 a.m., 2 p.m. But basically the entire day is in shadow. And Xenotrauma. Oh, Ben, how are you doing? I hope that this is, well, let's see, is it a little bit of a, not late supper for you, but is it about 8 o'clock-ish or so in the evening? Or, yeah, maybe around 8 o'clock in the evening for you? Maybe a little bit later. I'm thinking Perth here, so I'm trying to translate my Australian time zones into Japan for you there. Not quite sure how successful that is or not. Oh, 5 p.m. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're probably then further east. That makes sense. This is the maggot white. I'm just kind of use it as an off-white. The sword is kind of an unusual shape here, so we're going to have to adapt for this. And it's a 3D printed sword, which means it's going to be on the heftier side, as in way wider than, say, certainly some kind of a resin sword. I mean, it's kind of what happens with the 3D printing. It's always a bit of a trade-off. Now, do I want to do metal on that? I'm seeing, do I see a buckle over there? I think I see a buckle there, a buckle there. Let's do some hair type stuff here. Going to take some of the brown liner, some of the red liner. And then we're going to start to take some orange in there, and then it's going to turn into a bit of a sepia color. That's going to change things around. Again, work fast, think long, think wrong. Now, it's fun living in the future. Let's see, Perth would be about 3. All right. Because when I started doing the Aussie Rules football thing, I had to start translating times. And next thing you know, I had to figure out, okay, so we're going to be playing this game at the MCG. What time is 4:30 p.m. there to here? I'm going to get some more of the browns in here. Again, that's that little bit of a homemade sepia right there. I'm going to just do that on the boots here, and then maybe I'll change the pants colors to something different. But we got a backpack here. We got the Book of Wappel over here. I'm not even sure he knew about the Book of Wappel when he sculpted that. So that would be That would be the stuff of pure genius if he did. So I'm just going to get some of the, add some refuse here from the initial sponge tactic that we did. That's what I thought. Yeah, I thought it should be 6 p.m. there. Yeah, yeah. Here, let's get a hint of the green there. Let's get a little bit of the, that's the clear green. Let's add a touch of our, that's the Pro Acryl green. A little bit more there. And we'll just mark those right now before we forget, because we don't want to forget the green handle craft brushes there. All right, those have been marked. Now, the other thing with freehand, people say, oh my gosh, I'm scared. I've been painting all this stuff and I don't want to ruin it. What have you started with it? Before I did all kinds of shading and all kinds of weird stuff here, why am I doing that? When we can do something like this, we're going to take our reference picture over here. Going to make it a little bigger so you can see it. And sorry, Artisan Guild, I'm going to have to cover your logo there just for a little while. I'm going to take something here that vaguely resembles that gray. I'm just going to make a gray. Here, I'm going to take a little bit of that faded ultramarine. Not even going to use a smaller brush. But we've got to figure out, where is this going to go? It's obviously got to follow this line of the cloak here. I'm just going to start it out the easy way here with this shape. Going to start it out easy with this shape right here. And then I can replicate it as many times as I need. Now, is this going to be too big? Do I need to? Let's say I don't like it. Now I wipe it away. I'm going to make it smaller. And I might even just fill it in. What if I don't like that size? I can wipe it away again because I didn't sit here and paint this for 45 minutes. So I can continuously change this. Now, the deal is I also want to have that the White Sox name register as such. So let's get this little hair off of here. And oh, this is the other thing too. Okay, I want the White Sox logo to be here, not in the crevices. Not a big deal because I haven't done very much here. Look at this. It all just goes away. All gone. Now I'm free to do the freehand again. No pun intended. Not really. Here, let's get that a little bit lighter so I can see it more. I got the palette on the screen there. Oh, let's see. Sorry if you already said, but what's the reference pic? It was, I went into Photoshop. I took a picture of basically some medieval patterns, right? And I superimposed the White Sox logo. You can see that in those two little angle pieces there. Because that's, well, we're not playing any baseball here. But if they were, well, the White Sox would probably be in last place already. Their winning is not really something that they do a whole lot of. But since this is me, and I am known for wearing the White Sox jersey wherever I go, good guys wear black. So that is why we've got ourselves the White Sox logo incorporated here into our freehand design. And again, starting it out early, you saw if I didn't like it, I could just wipe it away. Now, again, this is a video that I was just filming earlier today. Did the same thing here. All it was just a series of lines. And then I started to develop it a little bit more. Same thing with the freehand here on the base. Numbskulls of Royals fan. Is that why your name is in blue? That's what I gotta ask. This was another thing, another freehand pattern that just developed. I basically just sketched it on like I'm doing now. Same with the base. And we developed it some more. Actually, this is one of my army painting series on the Patreon page. And every single series starts out first with basing. Yeah, it took them that. Now, what's interesting is that the only time that the two teams ever met in the World Series, the White Sox, the hitless Wonders, managed to win that series.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
We got a follow from Sprue Tropper. Welcome in. Welcome to Wappelville. Now let's start to repeat some of this here. And remember, all I'm doing is just sketching this out. This is not any kind of final representation. We just want to have this. We're just trying to get our shapes in here, because some of this will change because we also have to deal with the curvature of the cloak. And let's say you don't want to do it with a big old brush. You can do it with a smaller brush too. We got smaller brushes. We can do that. Now, to me, it's faster just dealing with the big old brush, but we can do this too. There we go. Small little brush, right? Boom, boom, boom. Working on a freehand. That's a relatively complex pattern. Let's work with our here. We want to have our White Sox logo in there, right? So we've got ourselves some decently wet paint, some thin paint, and we'll work our little S in there, and then we can think about the O and the X as well. Like I said, we're going to be moving this stuff around. There's also a little bit of we got a bit of a cross in that pattern there. So it's this alternating patterns. Again, we've got this nice and thin here. Nice and thin. When you get into something like the little crevices and undulations, sometimes you got to distort your design. Sometimes you've got to distort that design. Sometimes you cheat a little bit and you just let part of the design kind of, disappear. Because maybe there's just no chance for people to actually see that part of the design, like right here. This will have to kind of fudge this a bit. We'll have to fudge that just a bit. Now we need our S over here too. So there is our S. There's your O, there's your X. Took the Chiefs 50 years. Yeah, that might be the last game for a while. I actually was enjoying the XFL. I actually had maybe we'll get they'll just ditch the kickers and we'll just get the 3-point conversion, the 2-point conversion, and the 1-point conversion. That would be better. But in the meantime, let's continue on with our freehand here. So we build this out. It was the same thing. Actually, where is Mr. Cipher Lord here? It was the same thing. You can see how we built these almost like dragon scale type patterns right here. Now, let's see, is it worth buying a cheap natural hair brushes or stick with synthetics? Well, this actually is a natural hair brush. This is your prototypical Winsor Newton Series 7, but this guy lasts way longer because these guys do the dirty work. These are your offensive linemen, right? Your tight ends. I mean, these brushes are the wide receivers right here. They are the prototypical divas, just like midtones. They do all the work, but what gets all the credit? Highlights and shadows. They just get all the freaking credit. And there's nothing left, no love for the midtones. And be darned if that's where all the good stuff happens, is in the midtones. Now, this one gets another cross right there. This one's going to get the S here. Again, we're just blocking all that stuff in because remember, we've got books here, we've got all kinds of other things to deal with. We also have our object source lighting. Oh, well, I mean, you got Burrow. That could be interesting. Just saying. Now, hopefully he's got some... Well, actually, he had one of his teammates come with him. No, he's got a guy from Clemson, actually. He's going to be throwing too, so that should be interesting. Now, let's get a little bit of skin tone working here. Let us get... I'll just drop in some eyes here real quick. Because we want to not just focus in on one area, just like the freehand. We've got to keep moving around here. I'm going to use that same freehand color here because we're going to start to develop that. We're also going to take some of our green here, mix that in with some of our skin tone. Because remember, 5 o'clock shadow all day long. Boom. Get that a little bit green. Let's get some green over here with our eyes. Now, we don't want to just focus on only the more ruddy skin tones. We've also got to get something that's a bit more on the pink side. There are just certain parts of the face where you're going to get things that are more green, almost yellow in a way. Now, I'm going to build up some more lights here on my nose. And I'm sitting there, his nose. This is me, baby. This here is me. Yeah, that just... It's going to take me a while to get used to this because I'm thinking, why is this so darn familiar? Now, if you check out my blog, oh, let's see. Chitin and Caramel has to go do the baby thing. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, well, you can always watch these things after the fact. And I'll show some of the other things that we've been working on, like the last stream, the Dark Sword Owlbear family, because that was really fun. I really had fun with that one. Alright, I'm just going to start to mark up for these things. I'm going to start to think about my object source lighting down there too. I'm just going to get some more lights here. Let's hit some of the... Let's get some of this blue in here now. Start to think. Let's think about some kind of bluish gray here for the eyes. Maybe we'll just grab, I don't know, a little bit of blue liner. We'll mix it with, as we've got. Oh, thank you for the bits. Thank you for the bits. Well, let's see. He's going to be dancing around. He's just going to dance around there. Look at that. Oh, we got ourselves some hearts, and we got little faces of me there. But thank you for the bits. Let's see. Well, another reading from the Book of Wappel here. You can't take the voyage of discovery if you never get on the boat. And that's a thing. You got to get on that boat if you want to take that voyage of discovery. And by that, if you're wondering what the heck that means, it means something like this here, where you do things you've never ever tried before. Like here, I just filmed this earlier today. This stuff here with the water effects, that was literally maybe 7-8 hours ago. I was filming that, and now it's actually, it's still drying. It's actually still curing in some places. Let's see. So a lot of, yeah. Yeah, I think I've heard that. I think I've heard people mention that. Sometimes you have to just manually crank up the res there to get it back to where you want it to be. Boy, this is the first time I can remember intentionally painting eyes a lighter color. Wow, that's really weird for me. That's really weird. I haven't really done that very much. Here, let's start to think about some of our... Again, black is not really black. These are black. And you can see that based on the lights, well, there's really not much in the way of black there. Sculpey. Now, remember that it's got to be the correct Sculpey. If you're going to be doing the carving and breaking and all that kind of stuff, you'll want the white Sculpey. But if you're doing the texture roller stuff, you're going to want the gray extra firm, not the pink Sculpey, not the kaleidoscope colors of Sculpey. You are going to want the real deal. So that's just something to keep in mind. See here, I can even darken some of those down. We'll just focus here on this side for just a bit, because I got to see what do I want to do with this stuff. We've got all of these little, oh my goodness, there's a whole bunch of these little, not rivets, spikes, whatever. Oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch of those. My goodness, there's a lot of those. I'm going to get back into some browns here. Yeah, we're just going to take the yellow, mix it with the red liner, sort of create a bit of a sepia here. Also work that into the hair.
So say we all. So say we all.
Oh, thank you very much, Xenotrauma. That is appreciated. Thank you for the sub. Now, aha, it works. Ah, see that? So Josh, how you doing? And I see you got the little face there. So that worked. All right. I was hoping that would work. That was at the subscriber badge. That's what it's called. Yeah, subscriber badge. So they worked. I did that in between as I was waiting for those water effects to dry that you saw. Yeah, as I was waiting for that to dry, that's when I hit those. All right, so I think this is now dried enough. Let's get a little more of our clear yellow out here. As we do, let's think about some lighting down in here, because we have barely begun to make that brighter. We're just getting started with that. But on the flip side of making stuff lighter, you also have to get some of your shadow in there too. That's how we're taking some of the fluorescent clear red. Here we are. And we're just kind of doing a bit of a glaze here. A little bit of a glaze. Can you actually see that? There we go. There we are. A little bit more of our orange back in there. And then back to some of our lighter object source here. We're just trying to get close enough to the lamp here. Now, I wish I had that's actually one of my YouTube sessions. Oh, Sprue's got to head out. Let's see. Yeah, I do recommend if you go back to the beginning of these things, because you will see just how crazy the beginning of this is, and then how it starts to develop. But it's all about basically thinking globally. Maybe you work locally. That's another reading from the Book of Wappel there. You think global, but you work local. So we're thinking about the whole entirety of this thing, but we're also focusing in on the individual elements, like this, which was the very first thing that we painted, right? Then we started to move into our sword here. Now, let's see if we just pop in a little more of our orange here onto this. Just cause, I think it's about the extent of where our orange can go here with our object source lighting. Thinking about some more of the brown liner here to darken some of this. We're going to throw a little bit of glaze here in his teeth there, just cause. Now we're going to maybe throw in a few more lights. Again, this is not white here. This is maggot white, which is kind of an off bluish white. So definitely not white. Let's see, how many references are on this? Well, you've got all of these object source lighting things right here. You've got the Book of Wappel over here. You've also got these right here. Basically are these what I'm wearing here, the socks. And speaking of socks, that's the freehand that I'm doing here. So I'll work a little bit more on the freehand here. I mean, we're gonna be here a while, so there'll be plenty of time. There'll be plenty of time, but I just basically kind of did some indications of how I want this to be, and then we're gonna see, then we can develop it a bit more here. Do a little bit more of my interior patterns. There's your S again. And we'll go in with darker colors too, or darker grays, I should say. And the whole idea is we're taking some sports references here, we're taking some art references here, a little bit of everything. Now since we don't have the Civil War hat anymore, that is why I'm not wearing a hat in this. Again, let's see, we can work that way. Now we can work the other way. We can work a little bit darker now. We can start to fill in some of that. Let's get some of the paint out of the brush there. And something like this, when you're doing the freehand patterns, you gotta feel free to just kind of block it in. We already wiped it out twice because we said no, let's change it. Then we put it in there and said, now let's change it again. And then we finally settled on a size that we liked, and then we just started to proceed with the rest of the freehand. And the other thing too is that you want your freehand to not just overtake everything. So sometimes you got to make it more subtle. But you have to be willing to sketch it in first. So again, that is how, where is my Cipher Lord here? Something like this that has a lot of freehand on it. You can bet that this was sketched in and it looked awful nasty. Oh, Jinx is going to head out. I'll catch you later. Thanks for joining. And I'll catch you on your next stream too. Let's see. I'm just going to try to get caught up here on the chat here. Let's see. Actually, the dragon here, his name is Benny, as in Benny the Bull. That is why he is red. So again, we're trying to stack up as many sports references as we can. Also, a little bit of Blackhawks going on there. Because in the Wappel household, sports are, well, they were a thing until they were taken away from us. But sports are, that's something that Kathy had to adapt to when she came to Wappelville. Especially in 2005 when the White Sox went to the World Series. And then she had to learn all about hockey when the Blackhawks had their little run a while back. Yep, sports are definitely a thing. So they try to give me as many things that I could try and throw some sports references on. So as we do this here again, I'll bring back out the other succubus here. So you can see we're changing the color. We've got some yellow up here, right? I was thinking of maybe here doing your proverbial Indian head right here. That's why I'm saving that. So we'll do the sock stuff back here and maybe do a little bit of the Indian head right there. But let's grab this. And you can see again there's all kinds of different reds almost to orange, and then here you can see they're very muted by comparison, almost to gray. Let's see. The main color on the staff contrasts so well with the. It is. There's just so many ways to contrast it. Well, here's another example of object source lighting. So you've got these grayish skin tones, right? And then you've got the heat of the lava there, but it's that. Even though skin tones are relatively light, those are relatively light, but you can see. We can still see that. Oh, actually, let's do this. Let's do that. We haven't done this in a while. Jan, how's it going? Genuine Vision. We'll just turn off some color here to show the difference in. So we can still see all of the shadow or the shadow and shape, right? But as we bring back our intensity, now you start to see that. It's that other kind of hidden form of contrast. So that would be the Blackhawks. That is the team with the Indian head. And that's you know, we're saving that spot for it right there. But right now we're going to get back to let's go back to our metals over here. So we're going to actually get some of this green here into our metals too, just because we're also going to start to develop some things here on the blade. We got the blood channel here. Also have to start thinking about some reflected light over here. So we're going to develop this some more. And we might just go on the shinier side with it. So something more like the halberds, or even something like this right. So you can see we got some of the pink on the blade. You can see we've got lots of things reflecting. You got your sky reflecting on there. Let's see. I'm from the UK, so I don't know half of these teams. Well, remember, this is the guy who got obsessed with Aussie rules football years ago. Kathy, she chose the St. Kilda Saints, and unfortunately for me, I chose the Western Bulldogs, although Western did win their first championship in about 60 some odd years, a few years back, so that was a plus. That's all good. Now, I'm going to get this thing the heck out of my way so I can see what I'm doing here. Yeah, they have all of the Chicago teams. Now, this is the other reason I think why we liked the Aussie rules football so much, because if team wins, the first thing they do is they head to the locker room and they sing the team song. And the White Sox theme song and the Blackhawks theme song, these are old. Like, some of them are old as in like 60, 70, 80. The Bears theme song is closer to like 90 years old. And they still sing those things.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you for the follow, Valor Steel. Gandalf approves, and, well, Wappellious approves, because this is me. I am painting me. Oh, Jan, yeah, you maybe don't know. This is actually me. I'm painting here. So that's been weird, is trying to match my skin tones. I mean, you can see we've been painting skin tones onto my hand here just to make sure they match. Because it's interesting. I love painting skin tones, but painting basically my own skin tone, that's been pretty interesting. That is not something I do every day, like ever. Although when you look at my 2D art, people will say, well, Jimmy, that kind of looks a lot like you. I did a series of Arthurian stuff, and they did kind of look like me. Jan can see the likeness. Yeah, that's it was really funny when Andreas from Artisan Guild, when he showed me that, I said, oh my gosh, and then they printed it for me and sent it to me. And people have been waiting for this actually for a while, because do I make that metal, or let's maybe do a different leather color on that. But they have been waiting on this for quite a while, because, well, I have no face cam. There is nowhere to put it. People say, where's your face cam? I said, well, the best you could see is like my elbow, because this painting area is more like a fighter jet. Everything has to be within about 28 inches of me, maybe less, because that's how long my arms are. That's how long my reach is. And there is no getting up and walking around when you're in the middle of filming a video. Heck, I don't even want to be getting up and walking around when I'm doing a live stream either. So, hence, everything being on top of me and no room for a face cam. Oh, Bullos, that became a patron so after watching you yesterday. Well, thank you very much. Now, hopefully, you've gotten that big batch of links there, and that the first batch that's the army painting stuff, the dark sword stuff. That secondary batch, that's the painting pyramid videos. So that's kind of where the whole thing started back in 2013. So when you watch those, well, they're going to look different because, well, different camera, different everything. But you're even going to you'll see some of these paint jars in those videos. This is a Reaper paint jar. Guess what? They don't sell paint like this anymore. They don't sell this. For like 8 years, it seems like they stopped. They actively were trying to not be selling that anymore. So yeah, if you watch those, that second batch that I sent you, as Techno's Cat says, yeah, that I don't understand. Now there's some that I can understand why they have the face cam, because there is no palette cam, and obviously it's as much about them just looking into the camera and talking. That I can understand, but there's ones where it literally is like the side of their head. I don't know, what's the point of that? When, well, like that reference there. I'd much rather have the references than have, well, a head cam or elbow cam or whatever the heck it would actually be called, because it certainly wouldn't be a face cam. But that's kind of why we're painting me in this form, because, well, that face cam, yeah.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Oh, thank you so much for the follow, Elmer. It's appreciated. Well, yeah, it seems like on YouTube, if you ain't doing GW, you ain't doing nothing. It's kind of, it's weird. I'd still do the GW stuff. Now, I don't know. In some ways, it's almost like Lord of the Rings doesn't even count because, well, yeah, they support it, kinda, sorta, maybe. Obviously, not much in comparison to their other game systems. Now, actually, if people want to see what we were doing on the last stream, speaking of not GW, GW don't do owlbears. Ooh. Oh, here we go. Yeah. We're hanging out now. Me and the owlbears. Hanging out. And this was really fun. We got to do all that landscape stuff and do it live. That was a blast. Now, what are we going to do here? We're going to introduce a different type of leather color here. Leather by taking red liner, mixing it with this lighter color, almost as kind of a purple, I want to say. Because remember, black is not actually black.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you for the follow, Borking Bjorn. Oh, Xenotrauma has so much for the owl bears. Had some animals, but painted. Fur is neat. Actually, I do have some other painting fur examples on the YouTube channel. Actually, there's one for painting white fur. There's another one for painting black fur. And let's see, I think I've got a couple other critters too. So we're going to use this same. I got to use this reddish leather color over here because, well, my hair color can't. Although in the summertime, well, I don't really get it to go outside very much anymore. But when I used to get to go outside in the summertime, it would sort of almost turn a bit blonde. So we're even using the fluorescent yellow into this here. Let's get some lights on the hair now. Let's just do that. Let's just do some of that. But it's got to be, I might have to even do some glazes, tone it down. But for now, I just want to indicate that. Let's start to think about, well, our object source lighting again, because this is going to cast down onto the hair over here. So let's do that. And the fluorescent paint is perfect because it's translucent enough to actually show up there, even though it's very watered down. And we can add some of our opaque paint to it, and then that starts to brighten it up. Starts to brighten that up a bit. And we're just, again, thinking about where is that light, where is that going to hit? It's probably going to hit there. It's definitely going to hit here. And if it's going to hit there, we got to get some shadows now, like you do. I'm going to check chat in a second here, just looking down at my palette. Oh, I have to make one for my Battle Sister armor. Oh, thanks for the sub. Thanks for the sub, Sprue. That's appreciated. Yeah, I was doing the YouTube lives over there, and then they started to kill those. Heck, they even killed one of my monetized videos. You can have a human review if you want. And they reviewed one of my posted videos, and of course there was nothing wrong with it. However, that doesn't work so well with the live session when it's just been wiped out. So yeah, that's why we're here. That's why we're here, where it's safe. Where it's a whole lot safer. Now let's find a white that's really got some opacity to it. And that's one of the pro acryls here. You can see we've been at this for quite a while before we even thought about reaching for something that's white. Quite a while. And we're just going to start to think about what in our metals has to be brighter here. And we want the metals to be shiny, but not distracting shiny, if that makes any sense. We also are going to mix some of our fluorescent green with that white to start really cranking up the volume here. Because our lighting here, it still hasn't gotten its full max brightness yet. That's still just the initial kind of sketching that we were doing there. Now we're going to start to bring some of that out. That's supposed to be wood. This is supposed to be that green flame there. You can see how that really kicks up your intensity another notch. Now let's see, what is it that Gandalf is saying? I don't know what the last word is. I'll have to maybe look that up. But it's hilarious. It's so appropriate to welcome people in to Wappelville. Oh, let's see, I'm going to try and get caught up. Oh, Useless Wizard is in the house. Now let's see, but I also love how you always evolve your style. That's, yeah, that is, well, you think of when you watch some of those early painting pyramid videos from 7 years ago or so, it is so different from what I do now. So incredibly different. Well, materials change too. All that green stuff world, that just didn't exist. Well, 3D printing, they weren't doing that 7 years ago. Well, if they were, it was a whole bunch of bucks, and regular people certainly weren't doing it. That's for sure. It was not exactly a home available product, that's for sure. Let me just get caught up on some things here. Oh, just sub down. Okay, yeah. think you heard it right. Yeah, ganja. I guess it is. Yeah, well, the Twitch community. Well, there's always somebody live on Twitch. Like that's why it's great late at night when Drax and Technocat and everybody else is and Thunderdome and everybody else is or Thunderdome Drew. They're doing their live stuff late at night. I can just kind of maybe I've been filming a video or something like that, and I can just sort of chill listening to them. So that has been really fun. Now let's go back into some of our fluorescent green here on our metals. Let's do that. Let's get some of our lights here. But I had to darken this down for that object source lighting to be actual lighting. You gotta have dark. So I got the Gandalf figure mounted and on foot. Oh, I gotta paint him so that when that happens, I can pull out the actual Gandalf figure there. So now we're starting to get a little bit of lighting on this side of my face. I have to remember to say that it is actually my face. That is really wild. Well, I guess since I've been painting miniatures almost 20 years, like I say, they eventually you meet yourself. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm meeting me in 3D. Now I can actually do a little bit of dry glazing here. That's some of the clear green. Yeah, let's do some of that over this too. Just knock that down a bit. Like I said, we've got our freehand design that we're messing with here. We also have our green handle craft brushes. So let's develop those a little bit here too. All right, a little bit of the clear green. Oh, let me see. I was the one on YouTube telling you to get moving on Twitch. Thanks to me from the whole. Well, it's the problem with Twitch was that XSplit wouldn't work for me anymore. Other people could use XSplit with Twitch, and it just suddenly stopped working for me. And I just got the paid version of XSplit, and I'm thinking, well, I just paid for this thing. I got to make this work. It still doesn't work, which meant I had to learn OBS too, and Twitch. And basically, what made it happen was everything got canceled. So all of a sudden, now there was time for me to try and learn these things. Because, well, I didn't even realize there was things like emotes and subscriber badges, right? I just made the subscriber badges earlier tonight, which is why there's little my faces sitting there on that jug over on the left-hand side. We're still debating on how long it takes for things like the emoticons to get approved. But thank you very much, Beef in the Hole. It is appreciated because, well, the other thing too is that other folks had said, well, you can't do this on Twitch and this and that. They didn't tell me about the whole community thing. They didn't tell me about the just hanging out watching other people's streams, and basically you can sit there and just cycle through all these people's streams. Quite literally just never stop watching people painting. Which is I've never gotten to watch a single person paint a miniature ever in 20 years. Until like watching Drax's stream and Thunderdomes and Technocat, all of the folks that now I get to see them doing this live, which is really cool. So we're starting to not just bring out the lighter stuff, but we're also, see, we go back with some of the fluorescent green here. And it's about using that green clear paint and the fluorescent together. It's creating this little extra layer of transparency to it. Translucency, so the stuff that's underneath kind of shows through. So again, got our Book of Wappel there. Also using a little bit of the Pro acryls to make sure that It's also light enough. I think. Yep, we gotta have actually. Well, we actually gotta get some green over here on the top of the backpack too. Wow, there's just way more of it here. Oh, emotes can take anything from an hour to four. Yeah, I've. Someone even said it could take a month for those to get approved. So, well, now I know. Now I know, and I'll just keep checking every so often. I'll just check every now and then. I still got to make more anyways. I just made just a few to see if I could get the darn things even the right size. They're freaking tiny. They are really tiny. Now we're going to get this almost like a reddish gray here. Going to start to work that into my bandolier of brushes here and into the backpack. Into the skin, because again, Book of Wappel goes somewhere. Must go everywhere. Oh, they'll send me an email. Okay, that's good. Oh, and the first ones tend to take a long time. Why am I not surprised? Well, heck, I was surprised when I would do a stream and after, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, I'd check it and there was no data. And I went, that's weird. And then I just started getting used to it because that's kind of how it works. And this is what I mean about just learning stuff. Oh, Xenotron, I'm in the exact same boat. Isolation became my excuse to learn OBS. Let's see, what about the wizard from Nocturna? Boom, boom, boom. Yep, I really liked him. That was, actually, there should be pictures of him on the Instagram page too. Yeah, or Instagram account, I guess. He was a blast, and I've got some other Nocturna figures lined up. I'm also working, oh, here we go. So I've been working on this one here. I got a whole bunch of creature caster figures. Actually, the whole reason I'm doing this is so that I can do a nifty little ice and snow tutorial on him and his hand and on the base too. So this is another tutorial thing that I've been working on. Dark Sword has some wizards too, yeah. And, well, I've got I paint a lot of Dark Sword figures because that's part of the Patreon page, part of the... Oh, we got Chitin and Caramite is hosting. There's the host. I was very disappointed when I could not find the Muster the Rohirrim sound. That's what I wanted for the hosting one, but I couldn't find it. That was a bummer. So I'm just, do I do this as a clear? Yeah, let's do that maybe as a clear jug. So, I'm gonna go maybe with some purple liquid in there. Let's just do that. I'm gonna throw some purple out here. I'm just gonna get some purple going. Gonna get some purple going over here, and it's not even gonna look like purple because there's so many other colors working. We're going to throw some of that into our blade because purple in swords is just natural. Purple in my metals. Even some purple in the hair because nothing says brown hair like throwing purple into it. This is how you can sort of keep these things looking interesting instead of just kind of dull. Boring. Here, let's get some reflected light down here. And now let's get some actual lights up here on the top of the bracer here. You got these little spikes. Got the spikes, and then on the other, well, basically on the interior, that's where we've got basically the sock. That's what these things are right here. That's where we're gonna make it maybe more of a white so we can have the whole paint like a champion there.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
That must be ganja, yeah. I think that was a correct guess on Gandalf there, as we have a follow from Sleeper. Thank you very much for the follow. So I can continuously just go in here and reinforce some edges, some darks. Everything that we did in the beginning was just to set up all of these things like the freehand, the object source lighting. Just working with some blue liner here. Working on some darks, as you do. Because you cannot have light if you don't have dark, and vice versa. You gotta have it. I'll never forget the in-person class. Oh, let's see. Old people freak me out a bit. I think it's the fear of getting old. Drax asks, which green is that? So the two greens that I've been using, so there's your clear green, that's from Reaper. We've been using the Golden Acrylics fluorescent green. And then there is this is the lighter green, so that's the bright pale green, that is from Pro Acryl. Now, I still haven't quite figured out what this guy is supposed to be here, so we'll kind of fool around with that. I'm going to get a little bit of yellow here, and we're going to do some more of these parchments, which must be also more phrases from the Book of Wappel, or they could be wet palettes. And if you're wondering what this wet palette is made out of, it is just, well, there's your parchment paper. There is your chamois sponge and Chinese food container. Yep, that's what it was. It's just a food container. This is the lid, which is now the bottom. Let's see, what do you do with the miniature once they are painted? Now that I've got this and the Patreon page going, I get to keep more of them, but usually they end up going away. Like all of the Baratheons. Let's see, do I have those sitting around? No, I don't have those around. But basically figures as I'm looking for. So this is a commission thing. We just did this on a recent stream. So this big old Reaper guy here, he's going to get packed up and he gets shipped off to the buyer along with a bunch of other figures. So a lot of times they go away. It's a sad thing. I hate to see them go. But that was one of the reasons why there were several reasons to do the Patreon page, but not the least of which was for a change. I wanted to get to keep some of my figures because otherwise they quite literally all go away. And I definitely wanted to keep some for me, and that was a way to do it, because all those army painting series, well, they're literally my figures that I'm using to play Lord of the Rings, Bolt Action, whatever game system. Oh, I'll use green for cotton. That's because hey, what else is cotton like green? Like fluorescent green. It's natural. It's perfectly natural. So he says in the most unnatural of tones ever. I can see we're starting to bring out some of the lights there. We also need some more reflected light, and we're going to just actually dive into some more of that purple there. And we're going to get some light down here. Let's do that on the other side too. Again, this is being a 3D print. Some of this stuff is a wee bit wider than what you're used to. So most of the time, definitely painting commissions. That's actually how we got started doing this. Painting Blood Bowl teams virtually almost 20 years ago. That's kind of how this all got started. Because we used to do 2D art, and, well, 9/11 in several different ways destroyed that business, because what everybody else is going through now, that's kind of what we went through in 2001. So we had to find something else real fast. And miniature painting, just you happen to have eBay show up just at that moment, coupled with PayPal, and you had things like Cool Mini or Not. And by about 2003, we were totally just miniature painters. We weren't doing 2D art anymore. Yeah, that kind of ended the 2D art. I know people ask me, so do you miss the 2D art? And, well, I don't know. I'll show you something in a second that's kind of doesn't make me sad. They don't get to do the 2D art. Where are you? Yeah, see? I still get to do 2D art, just on bases. It's very small, but I still get to do me some 2D art. Oh, let's see. I'm gonna check out the question here. So what's the time painting? Yep. Yeah, the dark sword stuff. I'm actually working on a big. Well, this is another commission. It's the 9 Muses, and they're gonna be in this kind of a Greek temple, sort of a ruined Greek temple, and there's gonna be lots of object source lighting, lots of that kind of stuff going on. So let's see if we can bring out some of this some more here. So let's go to that, and I'm gonna throw a little bit of yellow in there. It's gonna make kind of a almost like a greenish yellow here. And we'll just we'll get the top of the boot here. I'm gonna start to bring out hopefully a few details here and there, because I had to figure out what the heck was what. I didn't even realize all the things that were on here. They chocked this thing so full of stuff, which I appreciated. You know, they tried to squeeze in everything about me onto this thing, and they really did. They sure as heck did. So we'll get some of these parchments here again. Get them a little bit lighter in some places. A little more separation. Let's see, what is the relation? But not 9. Oh, so our biggest art show of the year was Celtic Fest, and that was supposed to be about September 15th. And when September 11th happened, they canceled not just that. Well, that convention was about 20% of our income for the entire year. That was gone. So here, what happened in March, there was supposed to be Adepticon. That was well, that's kind of our home convention because it takes place here in Chicago. And I know for me, I had about 2,300 hours worth of classes that I was supposed to teach. Well, no convention, no classes, and that money was gone. And obviously, that was in the queue. You know, that was supposed to. We certainly spent the time getting ready for those classes. We bought the supplies for them, and then all of a sudden there were no classes. Except 9/11 didn't have the mass effect because, well, not everybody's job was wiped out like they are now. So that's the difference. But now I'm going to get some more darks in here on some of these metal studs here. Let's do that. Let's do that. Especially where we've got this shining down. Now again, I would normally have another light on here, but I just noticed with filming or even doing this that light is just too bright and it kind of burns out the whole miniature. So in some ways I'm kind of painting this in the dark. For you guys it looks completely totally normal, but for me it's really really dark. So that's why I usually kind of go back in afterwards and play around with some things some more. So we're just going to go back to our freehand that we started with a while back. And again, we started out a little bit subtle with it, and then we make it even more subtle as we go along. We don't want it to be overpowering every single thing, everything else that's on here. Especially now as we start to wander over to some object source lighting over there. That's challenging. So maybe we'll play with some freehand here for a little while. Again, that is the reference that you see in the upper left-hand corner. Well, what happened then is that yes, they were canceled, but then nobody wanted to fly. Then you also had the anthrax scare that happened at the same time, which meant imagine nobody, Amazon not shipping anything. Nobody's shipping anything because nobody wants to open a package because they're not sure what's going to be inside. So all the post offices were shut down, and just imagine Amazon with nothing shipping. Amazon doesn't do a whole lot of business, or if that's what you do, if you're a mail order type business, well, it just, we were, it very uniquely targeted us and kind of wiped us out. But that's what made us miniature painters, because at that time, you had things like eBay where people could just buy miniatures from anywhere. They didn't have to actually come to the same show where you were physically. There was PayPal, so they could send you money, even if it wasn't in your currency. And then you had really nifty things like Cool Mini or Not. That was a website where basically it's all about miniature painting. So think before Facebook, before all this Instagram, all this kind of social media stuff, you had websites like Cool Mini, and that's where we got our start, was there on Cool Mini or Not. So actually here I'm gonna make another change here, just because the way this cloak is just going to be too difficult to stretch out that pattern. So I'm going to make a change here. I'm just going to change this around a bit, like so. So again, quick little change here. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to come back to it, and we're going to do a little something different on that. We're also going to get a little bit of a pattern on here too working. Also have to think about my object source lighting down there. I have not forgotten that. And we're just setting up something for in there for later. No, actually, this is by Artisan Guild here. I'll move my reference picture. Boom. Let me unlock that. So it is these guys here, Artisan Guild. I've been friends with the primary sculptor there for a long, long time, and that's why he sculpted this of me. Yeah, let's get a new pattern right in here. We'll just develop this now. So that's why he made a sculpt of me, and he made all the kind of things that he knows best about, well, me. All right. So yeah, I kind of like this a little bit better than having that go all the way down to the edge, because it's gonna get way too stretched out. Way too stretched out. So that's better. That's a little more. That I can deal with a little bit more. Let's finish this off. I'll have it a second line here. And hopefully this is, yeah, it's centered up on the screen there. Also don't want to forget the grays that are involved with this, so let's go back to some grays. And sometimes, I'll show you this again. This is the video that I was filming not too long ago, to have a double line like that. So we did this here. So I just made that line very thick and then painted a narrower line inside of it. So we're going to do that here. I'm just going to grab me something to drink real quick. Nope, I didn't 3D print it. I have a 3D printer now, but because of the situation, nobody could get 90% alcohol, and you need 90% alcohol to be able to clean yourself and your printer and everything else and wash the thing that you have printed. So I relied on someone else to print this for me. Hopefully at some point I get to actually use the 3D printer, because there's a lot of things that I would definitely like to print, especially other files by Artisan Guild, instead of having to have them print them and ship them to me, which is not really the most convenient thing to do. That's kind of not what the STL files were for. So you can see we can now we can sharpen things up here, manage this along. That's more like, yeah, this gives this a little bit more of a finite edge. Okay, that I can deal with now. Also going to darken this down. I'm also going to try and get some more highlights on Benny here. So we're going to go back to some of our clear yellow here. I don't even know the name of it. It's when it arrived here, it kind of just got put away because, well, that was right when all of this stuff started breaking out, and we weren't sure if we were going to be doing conventions or not. I think it's the Elgato or Egaloo or whatever. It's one of those. It really didn't matter because I wasn't going to be able to use it, so I just didn't. There was no time. I was also figuring out how to use Twitch and everything else. Oh, that's how you discovered it. Now, they did send me some of the sea creatures. That's like the latest. No, the latest thing is the Oriental theme stuff, right? They did send me some of that. Now, did you see? Oh, Igloo Mars. Okay, it's kind of red. It's got that red sort of container on the outside, right? Now, at some point though, there is supposed to be my 90% arriving, and I've scrounged up some gloves, and I'm hoping, like I said, because there's a whole bunch of like some of the big old riders. Well, what's that? The Hurricane. Okay, yeah, because Greg printed me up some of those, and well, you'll be seeing them here. You'll certainly be seeing them here. I will be painting some of them as Patreon videos. Now, did you see the troll? That was a stream that I just did very recently. Just did that recently. So where's Mr. Jerry? There's Mr. Troll. So I did the painting on here, but then in one of my Patreon videos, I sculpted these mushrooms. I sculpted the shelf fungus there, and then I put in all of the vellum plants and all this really fun landscape stuff. Oh, hey, the deli, how's it going? Much appreciated. Now, oh, there's also supposed to be, oh, was it FDM, right? I just refer to them as spool printers. There's supposed to be one of those coming this way so that I can print out 3D terrain. Basically, so people can send me the STLs. Of course, I told them they have to be supported because I don't know how to do that. So here was, remember I was talking about the warm on the top, cooler on the bottom. You can see that. These are very almost kind of yellowish here, and then they get cooler, and that is much like, well, I know I keep going back to these different Artisan Guild figures here, but this one again, so you can see we've got the warmer and cooler reds here, and we're doing the same thing on little Benny over here. Oh, he's playing instruments. Oh, very cool. Now see, if this gets too Here, look at this. We put too much white in it. See how it almost starts to get pink and chalky? Well, guess what? If we take some of that yellow in there, it takes it just far enough away from being chalky, but it still lets me continue adding some light to this. And then I'm going to go back with some darks too. Now let's get some of that onto my hand here. That's still weird. It's still weird to think about that. That is so weird. Yeah, let's get some on the knuckles here. My hairy knuckles there. And yeah, knuckles there. What about this hand? So we've got our reflected light there. Now let's go back and do some muted skin tones up here. So eyebrow there. Yeah, nobody was more glad than me. I got my first source of inspiration right now for painting. Well, I appreciate that. And, well, you know, the other reason why I started doing the live stuff especially, even on YouTube, is because people that I know, that I've known for years, who actually painted miniatures longer than I have, and who loved painting miniatures, they didn't love painting them anymore. They hated it. They stopped painting. They were bored out of their minds. And I thought, well, this can't be right, because miniatures are really fun and they used to love it. And why don't they love it anymore? And then I would listen to what they were saying and what they were telling me. And that's every time I do a tutorial video, or even when I'm doing this, a live session, I'll kind of talk about those different things, how you can get bored with a project, how to avoid getting bored with a project, how to keep that line moving. Because, you know, yes, I do this, well, pretty much practically 24 hours a day, but at least 18 hours a day, minimal. And I don't get tired of it because I'm always doing something new. Well, even like this right here, this is painting me. This is new. Oh yeah, that they just don't change the way they paint, which is human nature, right? Because, well, you find something that works for you. Why would you? People would say, well, why would I suddenly just go, oh boy, I just found something that really works. Now I'm not going to do it anymore. And they'd say that doesn't make any sense. And I said, look, it's not like you have to turn your back on it, but boy, you have to find something new. And for me, when I shifted to historicals, that was a big deal, because I'd never painted those before. Then there was the Wild West Exodus stuff. I'd never painted steampunk stuff before. Then with all the bolt action, and I'm painting model ships now for cruel seas, you name it, all these different things. Gotta think about, yeah, that's got to get a little bit of green there too. But is this going to be a gemstone, or is it going to be gold? I don't know. Let's see if we can make it a gemstone. So I'm just going to completely paint over that we've been painting already.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my gun.
As we get a new follow from Tiptove. Thank you and welcome. Welcome in. I am painting myself. I'm painting that picture in the lower left-hand corner. That is me. And this is also me. Yes, indeed. Just going to make sure I've do a couple things here. We're going to do a quick little focus thing. But now that we've been working on this a while, let's do this. Let's go zoink. So we've turned it black and white. You can see we've got a lot of shading in here. Look at this. So we'll focus just on Benny right over here. We're looking at that. And we bring back our...
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my gun.
Well, thanks for the follow, Snorri. appreciate it. See, now you can see that there's no difference, and that's the same amount of light as this. But because that is more yellow, your eye is drawn to that, and it brings that forward, and it makes this recede, even though they're the same amount of light. That is something I really try to get people to think about. It's tough because, well, they never really had to think of it in that way before. It can be tough. Here, let's have some of our brighter lights here. Again, trying to think of reflected light here. So we're going to grab some of our purple to do that. Kind of a grayish purple here. There we go. Because it can't just be, and it has to be these almost like striations. I'm sure you've heard me mention that so many times in all of the non-metallic metal stuff. It's tough for people because again, it's not something that they really think about. Let's break out another one of the big guns here. We've got some fluorescent magenta. Let's drop that over here, like you do. Yeah, Pendra, it's an interesting soundbite. I was on Zedge looking for others. I was trying to find Muster the Rohirrim, and that's what I wanted. But they didn't have it. But they did have that sound, and I thought, well, that's just going to have to be my sound for when people follow. And I love that sound. Here we're going to look at that. What's a sword blade without pink in it? If it ain't got pink, it ain't a sword blade. That is another reading from the Book of Wappel, which is right over there. Oh, what the heck. Let's get some of this magenta on a Benny over here. Let's do that to make him even that much more intense. And the other thing is the eye will fool you. The eye will play tricks on you. You can mix purple and green and get a nifty gray. Let's see. I think being a full-time commission painter will be possible with kids. Now, there's some things about being a commission painter. First of all, the deadline rules your life. Your life revolves around those deadlines. It's like a kid of its own. The other thing, too, remember we were talking about all the stuff that goes away? So most of the miniatures that you paint are not yours, so they will go away when they're done. Which it can be really tough, especially when some of them are those type of miniatures that are really breakthrough. See, we're getting some brighter and brighter magenta here now. Just thinking about this little gemstone thing right here. And the other thing is that you have to ship. I mean, are you willing to ship miniatures? Because your little local group of people, that is not going to sustain you if you want to do this all full time. So you will have to find other sources, which means you will be spending an awful lot of time answering messages. As an example, just during the day today, I must have spent at least 4 hours messaging with about 6 different people about about everything, about terrain pieces, arranging filming schedules, you name it, setting up stuff that goes several months into the future. Are you willing to do that? And again, when it has to get done, it has to get done. There is no, well, I'm going away for a month or this is going on. It just has to be done. So that's a tough thing. Are you willing to ship stuff? Are you willing to paint things in color schemes that you might hate? That is the other thing. I've had to paint figures in color schemes that were all horrendous. They were awful. Or I've had to base things with basing that I absolutely hate. And I love to do my own basing. That is, you know me, I love basing. It depends how many of these things you can live with. And again, I'm not trying to scare people away from it, but I've seen a lot of people be very excited about it and then suddenly be not so excited about it because they kind of realize, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? And it will be constant and never ending. Completing one deadline only means that you can get to the next 10. It's why my wife does not do commission painting really. She'll do some every now and then, but as we're just kind of working on a freehand again over here. She just didn't like that idea that she just finished something after working on it for however long. And then I said, okay, well, now get to the rest of that pile over there. It was kind of like the cartoon thing where they're in the rock breaking. They have to break the rocks, and they've broken a big old pile of rocks, and then someone shows them a big old mountain of rocks. And they say, well, go get to that now. It was kind of that level of sad. As we, again, just working on our freehand here. I'm going to try and march this pattern over to the side here. Let's get some of the less bright version of this. Okay, that would end here. That's going to go here. So I'm just going to start marking this out here. Same thing along here. We'll make this obviously more subdued. But for now, I just want to block this in. It's the same kind of thing. Oh, let's see. Sleeper. I have 3 kids under 6 years old. Not an easy task being a painter on the hobby level. It is now. Of course, our next door neighbors, they used to threaten their kids if they misbehaved. They said they were going to send them to us, and they would have to file and prep miniatures. And they would have to then sleep in the closet when they were done because they were small and they didn't take up much space. And they said, well, you're not doing that. And we said, yeah, look at the size of your hands. Your hands are small. My hands are big. Your hands are perfect for filing miniatures. You know, you might cut yourself a couple times, but that's what Band-Aids are for. And then all of a sudden the kids started doing what they were supposed to be doing. It was magical. Oh, okay, we've got to get this just secure right in here. There we go. And I want to have a nice little White Sox logo right here. So let's put our S there, like you do, and a little O and a little X there. Kind of looks like a dollar sign instead, but hey, it is what it is. Fill that in with a cross shape there. Now I can start to fill in the rest of this. And like I said, all I want to do is sketch this out, and then I'll go back in. I'm going to throw some glazes over the top of it too. But this is what freehand is all about. Sometimes it's a give and take thing. You throw some stuff out, then you knock it down. So like this. Oh, Xenotrauma, I think a lot of the trouble is just being a freelancer working from home. Yeah, hey Squirrely Minis, how's it going? Welcome in. Now let's go over here to our dark color mix here. Just again, that's the blue and brown liner. What are we gonna do? We're just gonna go zoink like that and like that. And see how all of a sudden that freehand that basically had no shading on it, where the brightest part was just as bright as the darkest part, and well, now we got a whole different story going on here. And we still can do some more freehand down on the bottom over there, but let's get back to the front of this here. Oh, is Lady B in the house? Oh, there she is. Yeah, let's see. Mac readiness, well, thank you. Yeah, now well, it's in the low 30s here. I don't know. I don't think there's been any snow, but it's almost cold enough for snow.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Welcome in, LX tab. Now I'm going to get me some more lights over here too. All right. Gonna think about some more. Yeah, we got to get something going on here with this bottle here. Got to figure out what to do with this. I think I'm going to get some lights here. Oh, let's get a little more light up here too. Even in the hair, as much as yeah, I'm gonna go with some green. Let's just throw some green, and it's gonna be kind of a dirty green. It's not gonna be as high chroma as some of the rest of that. Yeah, we're doing some object source lighting, and it can take on the form of many different colors. So here's again, we've got the green. Here's some blue, but you can see how it acts on the red on the skull there. Almost summer in Denmark in the high 50s. Now, here's another thing with bright colors, right? I'll just show you this. This was done with the same clear and liner paints, right? So we got all these bright colors here. Well, let's take it all away. Boom. Black and white. You can't see where there's red, you can't see where there's blue, but yet you can still see all of the shadow, right? Now, where's some... Here, we'll show over here, and when we bring back the color again, now you can see the reflected light in there. You can see all of the kind of there. See that reflected red on the leg over there? Same thing, same idea. Oh, let's see the albino blood letters. Just myself, very self-critical. Well, I tell people all the time that we are our own worst critics. Kathy and I were having that discussion today because there's this project she's been working on for months, and all of a sudden she came up with a different idea. It was going to be for the base, and it kind of today she was just kind of going, you know what, I don't think I can do that. I don't think it's practical on this thing. And she was more than a little bummed about that. I'm going to get this little bright spot on the eye here. There we go. And let's see if we can't do that right there. She was bummed about that, and I said, look, nobody knows. Well, very few people know what it was you wanted to do. They're just going to look at it and they're going to say, wow, that's really neat. It's the same thing with, there's a lot of things that I do that if I didn't tell anybody, they would have no clue that is what I wanted to have happen on a given miniature. They would just say, wow, that looks really neat. Now I think I will get some more lights under here too. Right in here. Kind of separates now the eye a bit from the rest of. I just don't want it to be all nothing but eyebrow there. I mean, yes, the eyebrows are gigantic, but maybe they're not that gigantic. I'm going to get a little more of the bit more yellow maybe in some of the skin tone here. Yeah, this is a 3D printed miniature of me for all the folks that are new in the house. Oh, it's Paladin's Fury. Yeah, the tonal variations, huge thing. Oh, let's see. It's nice to see some bona fide mini painting. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's I just, well, maybe it's a good thing that I hadn't known about this all along, because basically doing the YouTube stuff and everything else, it makes me really appreciate this format so much more. because man, it is just this is way more fun than YouTube. Oh my goodness. And I'll still post stuff to YouTube, not like I won't do that, but just there's a it's a whole community here. When whenever I can struggle out of bed in the morning, well, Kathy's maybe listening to Genuine Vision or uh, the the Brush Guy or any one of our European friends. When you got Lynn
Hello,
Stahl.
little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Well, welcome in WWB, which once again makes me think about Western Bulldogs. Sorry to be so focused on Aussie rules football there. And yes, that is also another long story of how I got hooked on Aussie rules football. We won't subject you to that particular long story. Let's see how that really starts to get subdued there. Look, let's hit it again. Let's give it another round of glazing again. So see how that starts to get nice and settled. Let's do that over here too. Instead of me having to basically highlight all this stuff, I basically painted all the same level of light and dark. Look at that. Look at that. It's like one little glaze. Boom. That's all it takes. You know what? We're going to do the same thing here. This has to be kind of darker, otherwise this is not going to look lighter. I have to have dark here for that to be light, which is why I'm going to do it again over here. Now we got this hard edge here. Well, let's take that up. Let's take it up a notch over here. There we go. Now let's go back with our... This is our fluorescent green again. It's a little bit of the clear green to make it more opaque. And now let's go over the top of this one more time here. One more time to just get a little more of a blend in here. Yeah. So see, now we're starting to get more light and dark separation. I'm going to hit it again because I've got that object source. I mean, it's an object source lighting. It's not object source tinting or whatever. I mean, there should be a light there. It should be intense enough to show that there is genuine light going on. And if it's not, then it's not object source lighting. Which is, that's again, that's how people can, well, it can be difficult for people.
So say we all.
Hey, Lady B, thank you so much. Thank you, Lady B. That is appreciated. Oh, look at that. Look at all the... It's me everywhere. It's me bouncing around in the jug. Oh, thanks, DC Cool. It's appreciated. Yeah, this is... It's really... This is going to be the most interesting thing that I've... It's not like the most complex thing or whatever, but because it's me, and I've never had a chance to paint me before, it's certainly really interesting. Now I'm going to start to whoa that thing a little bit on the lighting over here. Just gonna knock some of this down. It's sort of like what we did here on the cloak freehand. Sort of like that. We're just going to take this down a notch. I can always, like I said, I can always build it right back up again. But what makes this thing look lighter here is the darker stuff that we had around it. Now I'm actually going to put some of this on Benny over here. Let's see if we can't give him maybe some teeth. I'll go with some of this over here. Let's see if we can't give him some teeth. It's been a while since we worked on Benny's face, so let's do some more here. Yep, that helps a bit. And then we gotta give him some eyes. Let's get maybe some Let's see if I can't give him maybe some bright green eyes. And color goes somewhere, it must go everywhere. Take this green, we bring it over here now. Just like this. There we go. Maybe we make that eye big enough. That works. That works, but we'll let that dry a little bit. And now we're going to get on our metals, find some more of these fun little bright highlights. We have not yet begun to highlight. Oh, that was well. Yeah, we should do a reading from the Book of Wappel. It's one of the more new ones. It was oh yeah, give me blending or give me death. That was for the oils. I do believe that was when we were working on the troll. Yeah, that was when we were working on this guy. And for folks that are new, I will now bring out this troll again. He's a recent stream. Now, I also post. I basically take the videos here and sort of try to remaster them a bit and put them on the YouTube channel to make them a little bit more permanent. But this is the one in question. So this was very fun, and this was painted in oils here. I want to show you this on the back. So see, we got that kind of purple that's set right next to the greens. But then look at how the greens change color temperature. That's a big deal. Up on top here, the greens are more yellow. But down there, the greens are more blue. Look at the greens in the plants. Look at the greens on the mushrooms. 4 or 5 very different colors of green. Oh, it's an extremely advanced technique that is quite difficult to master without practice. It's something that I just love, and here's something that I've been showing before. Again, another example, and we'll do this. I know I've done this before, but we have new folks that haven't seen this idea. Zoom. So you can still see that there's lighting here, but all of the orange is gone. All of the cooler gray is gone. Let's start to bring it back. Let's bring it back some more. This gray is not that much lighter than this orange is, but because the orange is so intense with all that fluorescent orange in there, that's what brings all this stuff out. And you see that, and it has this boom. Look at how it's making the screen go crazy. Looks like it's on fire. Oh, let's see, I believe, this is my opinion, master wet blending, and it helps with many other techniques. It really does, and it doesn't have to only be with oils. So let's see, we've got some. I want to just find my one guy that I've done with oils. Won't be able to find him. Oh, here's another example of the object source lighting. So again, we've got our lava on the base. Look at we've got some blues, and then when we get here, look at all that nifty lighting underneath. That's why I try to keep all this stuff around so that I can show people this sort of thing. Because I think it's important for folks to see that. Now, let's, we need a flame in here. We've been building this, but now we're really going to drop in our light. Bang, right there. And then we're going to take some, look at this, some blue. That's blue liner, red liner. We got to seal this thing off. All right, so let's, as soon as we do this, now everything there becomes a little bit darker. And now that dark gives us more light. If you want to have dark, you must have light, and vice versa. Let's see. Oh, Paul John's Life. Hey there, how you doing? Welcome in. Yeah, we have been furiously painting away at me. And yes, if you look at the photo in the corner, that's me. And if you look at the figure in my hand, that's also me. Because you see these right here? That's the green handle craft brush. Now, here's the thing too. I don't know if you have things like Reaper Bones miniatures, but look, when we first did object source lighting, it was horrible. It did not come out at all the way I wanted it to, and I had to just keep trying it. Now, the other thing too, there there wasn't things like YouTube to watch tutorials back then, so that's obviously another handy thing, as you know. I mean, you've seen a bunch of mine too, but maybe try some simpler shapes. That's things with robes. Well, like this. Look at that. That's not a super complex thing to light there or illuminate. But to me, I think the object source light, if you wanted to pick one that might be a little bit easier to pick up on, probably object source lighting. Because, do I still have the, aha. So this, I'm going to turn off my light. And these come in different colors. But yeah, look at that. So see, that kind of tells you maybe where the light hits. Now for me, non-metallic metal is no big deal because the miniature itself will tell you exactly, like see on his helmet there, see how I reflected the wings of his helmet on there and we're reflecting the sky. I'm going to take you to, now these are some of my units from my Patreon series. Where is, bang. So there is your classic Sky Earth non-metallic metal right there. Let's do another one there. So you can see the horizon line reflected in their helmets, the red of their cloaks and such reflected there. Once again. But object source lighting is a little bit more basic. So here's my pyros. I just had to worry about the reds and the greens. So that is something to think about. Just something to consider. That's my favorite non-metallic metal is the chrome. That kind of really highly polished steel. Because I love the fact that it reflects everything. Because at that point, when the metal is that reflective, it will tell you what color needs to go where. It will literally tell you, like, okay, you need to reflect this red over here. You need to reflect this over there. Now let's give this little demon dude some eyes. Let's give him some eyes. This is just the purple here. That's the clear purple. Let's give him some eyes. There we go. Boom. See, doesn't have to be difficult. Does not have to be tough. I'm going to give this some shadow under here. I'm going to go back to the magenta over here, see if I can't. Aha. Yep, the gemstone kind of needed that over there. Let's do this side. So that now, okay, let's sharpen up a couple of things here. Sharpen up a few of these things, and I'm actually making the boot a little bit lighter here. Gonna give this a little, maybe a bit more of a seam, a suggestion of a seam there. Saul the Holiest by Artisan Guild. So is that what they call this guy? I didn't even know that they made it a thing. I thought he just kind of sculpted this one for me, and that he was gonna just kind of maybe make a few for himself or whatever. Yeah, I didn't realize that it was going to actually be a big part of one of his, oh gosh, what does he call them for his pledge levels? Basically I forget. Well, it's late now. It is 4:56 in the morning for me. So the brain starts to fade. Whatever's left of the brain. Now here, let's see what we can do with a little bit of this clear blue over here. This is that pale green from Pro Acryl. And I'm trying to make myself sort of a bit of a sky blue here. So we're mixing that. And I want that to go over here. Ah, that's it. That's what it needs. It just needed a little more, see, a little more life. That's what it needed. And this is the thing again. Now, if you want to do the non-metallic metal thing, just, oh, not yours is Wappellious spell brush. Okay. Well, thanks for that, because now I know what to call it. Now I know what to call it. But go on Instagram and you can find lots of these cosplay folks that are in full armor doing the cosplay thing. And, well, it's amazing for one thing. I mean, it's really spectacular. But they're actually in a natural environment. He neither having a being reading the back comments. I do try to go back. Sometimes they just sort of advance. Sometimes they go faster, and I'm also trying to structure this as much as I can for folks here. Oh, thank you, WWB. I appreciate that. And there's some magenta on here. There is all kinds of fun stuff. Oh, let's go with some purple and some red liner here. And just going to get a little bit of a hint of dark right there. That's all. That's all. It's tough to paint and watch comments at the same time. It is. Well, actually, the other thing, too, is I'm still getting used to this new setup. I moved everything around, and I moved it all around again just a couple days ago to make room for a second monitor. So I'm used to looking in an entirely different place for comments, and they're in a whole different place. So if you're wondering why I don't see them sometimes, I'm like, where the heck is the chat? Where the heck is? Oh, it's over there. It's on the opposite side of where I was looking. Oh yeah, the palette is a very typical palette. Oh, no problem, Technocrat. And the palette is just a Chinese food container. And it's some palette, some parchment paper. And again, the lid of a Chinese food container, a chamois sponge. So there's your green handle craft brushes. That's right there. That's what we're looking at. This guy here. Oh, should we develop this? Yeah, you know what? There's a couple things of the freehand over here. Oh, let's see. Oh, Lady B. Yeah. Well, let's see. Well, I was mispronouncing. Oh, it was Thunderdome. Yeah, and I was pronouncing his name all completely wrong. And then when I heard him say it in his chat, I thought, oh my goodness, how in the world could I get that wrong? But I did. I did. Now let's get our. Okay, we're gonna do the S here. We're gonna do our hint of that cross over there. Oh yeah, let's bring out a few more lights here. Different auto cat. I haven't actually seen that name pop up. I haven't seen that name. But then you guys are way more familiar with all that than me. So priming the miniatures, for the longest time, I didn't even have an airbrush. Does it really matter? Because the primer is the same. It's always the Badger Stynylrez. And there's about 18 different colors of this. I brushed this stuff on for like 5 years, no, at least 3 years, until Ken from Badger said, you must try an airbrush at some point. I used to use airbrushes all the time when I did my 2D art. But then when that business went away, I just stopped using the airbrushes. So now we do airbrush the primer. Actually, if you check out the YouTube channel, there is a video just on priming miniatures. I never heard of them. Also, there's a play on mispronunciation thing. Yeah, what were some of the other spectacular mispronunciations that I had? Oh, there were several. There were definitely several. Yeah, I might even try to lighten up some of the freehand in a few places here. I know I'm targeting this area. It seems like a decent place. But if you go back, I don't know, a couple hours, what are we doing? It's only 2.5 hours. This looked like an unholy mess right here. So I'm just James Wappel on YouTube. There are a bazillion tutorials there, and at least for the moment, like this episode is only going to last what 2 weeks or something. Now I guess I don't know. When you do the partner thing, do your VODs stay around permanently, or is that still not necessarily a thing? Oh, you folks that are way more familiar with this than me, I ask you. Do I use the primer right out of the bottle? Oh, yes, indeed. Yep, all of the Badger Steino Res primer, that is designed to just be used out of the jar, no thinning, no nothing. And obviously for those that ask, I use the exact same primer for oils, for everything. There is no difference. I use the exact same primer in the exact same way, and it's all good. Now see what I need, what I gotta figure out, Technocrat, you gotta help me with the Discord thing, so that we can have our own little Discord chat thing, and then I don't have to necessarily be looking at stuff. Someone can say, "Hey, heads up over there. Look at that. Answer that question." That was actually we were thought about that early on, like years ago. Or maybe, I don't know, Kathy could sort of be like a moderator, read the comments and stuff, but then she goes to bed. uh, she's been in bed for a while, obviously, and I have been up for a while. Boy, even a partner, it only lasts for 60 days, huh? Yeah, I was actually gonna do some badges for mods, right? Because they get their own badges. Well, at first I just didn't think. I thought, okay, for the first several months of doing the Twitch thing, I'll be playing to like 2 people. Oh, let's see. More than willing to help out, dance around, scream, hello. Are you beautiful? Yeah, that's it. Well, now, actually, when people do the bits thing, it's like, poof, he comes out and he's going to do a little dance across the screen, because that's me. That is me. And then you could, well, say, hey, it's time for a reading from the Book of Wappel. Or what I want to do is actually have the graphics, like a little like Book of Wappel type thing. You know what? Yeah, know what? Oh, what the heck? What the heck? You only live once. You only live once, and sometimes you just gotta have glowing magenta. Cause why not? Actually, I have a couple of videos on glowing magenta. Yeah, let's just do this. Why? Yeah, look at that. Why not have two completely opposite color light sources right the heck next to each other? Oh, there's a person that Bethany, she just, object source lighting is not her favorite thing. So I generally have to forewarn her in advance. I'll say, look, this is a warning. There's going to be object source lighting. And I told her many times that this session, if it's me, there's got to be object source lighting. See how hard that was? Wouldn't that take about 30 seconds? Oh, you can't not have it? Yes. Oh, I had 75 people. You'll be partner before you know it. Well, I guess that's the thing, right? If you That's usually the last thing. Well, it is the last thing for me, and I know that Jan, that has been his thing. He has been trying to get that 75. That's why I've been putting his on the last, even if it's just to have on in the backdrop, so that he gets to his 75. Oh, oh yeah, see this also right here. I need to separate, there we go. Need to separate that. Well, obviously you've got the YouTube channel, and there's lots of people on that, but that audience really doesn't. It's not like this here. Yeah, well, I wasn't. I also didn't know how long some people have been doing this. I had no idea. There's some folks that have been doing this like every day for years, like me. Okay, the YouTube channel. I've been developing that for 7-ish years, closer to 8 now. Closer to 8. Look at that. Look at that nice little object source lighting. Now, that's a perfect time to go over here, and we're going to go zoink. Now, it just looks like light. There is no magenta, there's no green, but you can see there's plenty of light here everywhere. Look at the cloak. Yeah, look at that. It almost looks a little bit shiny there. Let's bring our color back, like you do. And now, you can see all that color there, and now, look, separation, magenta, green. Values are exactly the same. Yeah, genuine vision. I did it too. Well, yeah, he usually is around. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit early for him yet. It's 5:09 in the morning here, so I'm not quite sure when he usually starts his. But I am going to get me a couple more lights in here. So again, this is from Artisan Guild. I'll make this a bit smaller here. Just bear with me as I reduce the size of that so you can see the Artisan Guild. There we go. That's better. Come on. Lock in place. Now, we've been doing a lot of lighter stuff here. We're gonna go darker here. Gonna go darker with this green. So I'm taking the clear green, the clear blue. We mix it together. We need some shadow in here. We have an awful lot of light. We have no shadow here. Now we've got shadow there. If it's object size source lighting, then it better be a source of light. And you can't have a source of light without some shadow somewhere. Gotta have it. See this, I can actually knock this down a little bit too. Ah, look at this. It's a little bit of a wash there. Oh, and there's Jan. Oh, lurking. Oh, okay. Well, yes, that definitely, for those who, for some reason, aren't already following Genuine Vision, please do that. Because you should. Because you should. And we are also going to... I'm looking... boy, there's not a lot of it here. We're just going to get a suggestion of some green here. It's really just a suggestion of it. Ooh, oh my goodness. Yeah, we were remiss. We were remiss. We need green. Where I'm seeing it right here. That's got to be green. Time zones are the devil's work, and they most certainly are. They most certainly are. Now, let's do our green up here. And not there, but over here for sure. Wow. I'm looking around, screwing around, and I completely did not see that we needed to get some of our fluorescent over here. I mean, it's not that big a deal. It's just a little bit of it, a little tiny bit. But this is supposed to be a glass container. Well, let's get some highlights on here too. I suppose I could do the whole art coat thing or whatever, right? Put that on there and just let that do the sparkly thing on its own. I could do that too. All right. I'll go back over here and grab me some of this, some of my gray here. Like I said, I'm gonna refine because I can with most of it in place. And this is essentially almost like a little place for the eye to rest in a way. And I think you can see now why I killed the pattern here, because originally the pattern was going to go all the way down to the edge. I dumped that because you can see look at how that's uneven there. I would have to stretch these things like that, and that just would have been too much. Oh, Agent Meeple in the house. Let's see. Insist on streaming at times when I am sleeping. He chooses a time that's convenient for himself. Let's see. Oh, and Mac Readiness is very happy that I stream at this time of night and day. It's 12:15 p.m. Yeah, it's 5:13. Tack on 7. That makes sense. Yes, it is 5:13 here in the AM. Now, I just wanted to show January. I was filming this earlier today. This was a new thing for me, a terrain piece, and the water effects are, even now, they're still curing. But this is actually a video that's going to upload to the YouTube channel here, part of the Patreon page. Let's see, super happy here too in Japan. This is normal time. I'm just petitioning to have all the world be on my time zone, which doesn't have to be Central Time. It just would be my time. It's like I'm awake, therefore everyone should be awake. I think that is a natural order of things. I'm all in favor of that. Oh, geez. Actually, there's going to be a bunch of figures. Oh my gosh. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to be coming in the mail in the next 2 to 3 days that you're going to see on the channel here. So not only am I being resupplied with all of the new Wappel time. In Wappelville, it's always Wappel time. I like it. A big old box is coming from Cool Mini with all of the new Song of Ice and Fire stuff, which you'll be seeing painted here and oils and other such thing. But they are sending the Blood Rage stuff, what was the next? The Rising Sun stuff, and then as time moves along, they will be sending the Ankh stuff, and I will be painting that here. And Dark Sword is, they are sending me a bunch of their dragons. So I will be painting dragons on the stream here. And Blackheart Models, go look them up. They are sending one of their half-sized busts. And by half size, that's half the size of a human head. Yes, there's, I don't know how many dragons there are, but the box weighs 15 pounds. Now, granted, it's all pewter, but go look at the Dark Sword website and go look for their dragons. Those are supposedly on their way here. So that's going to be very fun. Now, let's go back here with some darks. Now, I'm going to show you that Artisan Guild kind of succubus figure in just a second after I pop in a few of these darks. Let's get some of the purple in here. Where's my red? So we're going to take some purple, mix it with red.
My ganja.
And we done got ourselves a follow from 19Silent79. Thank you for the follow. That is appreciated. All right, as we add just a couple more little hints of dark there. Where are you? Where's the succubus lady? Here she is. So Benny, you can see we're working with some. Now this is in Reaper paints. This was all in Pro Acryl. So two totally different paint colors, but yet look at that. We're doing the same kind of motif. Well, thanks again, 19 Silent 79. It's a tough balance getting inspiration from pros and still enjoying your own work. Well, hey, okay, gosh, I don't know. Useless Wizard on he did an interview with me, and he kind of asked the same question of everybody, just so that you can get an impression of what the people, yeah, how they approach miniature painting. And one of his questions was, "What's your greatest triumph?" And the other one was, "What was your greatest disappointment?" And I said they were two sides of the same coin, because I remember back in 2002-ish when we went to Cole Mini and we saw what bases were supposed to look like real basing, because we thought we knew what we were doing. And we saw those bases, we said, holy smokes, we don't have a clue. This is a disaster. We don't know what the heck we're doing. Our basing was terrible. It was awful. It was garbage. And that had such an impact on us that, well, especially me, I swore that I was going to come up with some kind of basing method that was going to be able to kind of keep pace with what I was seeing, and then that's how we got known for this. So let me just bear with me here. Boom. This kind of method. So this is the Sculpey, baked Sculpey clay rolled out on top of a piece of cork, thicker, thin, whatever. And I think you can see here. Let's go to our, again, so let's go to our other, there you go. See the sand effects there? You can see the bark bases on the roll hand guys, the kind of the corals there on the fish. No, that's actually, those are just bones miniatures there. And again, the object source lighting, all of that kind of stuff that became an obsession. And guess what we became known for is those type of bases. The ones that you saw there with all that freehand marble type stuff, they literally became the Wappel bases. And that was generated by shock and embarrassment. Oh, let's see. Pendrake Asimov posted a planet about Earth-sized that just 4 time zones. I'll keep the stormtroopers. I painted first on my desk. Oh yeah, they look like they were finger painted. Yep, yeah. I think I still actually have one of the first miniatures I ever. Oh, there we go. Now go to on my YouTube channel, just James Wappel on YouTube. Go look for. It's 20 years of miniature painting. Go look for that, because it quite literally has a video that shows a miniature from like 20 years ago. Actually, it was one that I sculpted of all things. But go look for that and check that thing out, because it talks all about how I had no freaking clue what I was doing back in the day. And it was a very harsh lesson. Very harsh lesson. Oh, Lady B. It was hard for me. Almost gave up. Yeah. We were we were in some rough stages too in our painting journey. It was not always as it is now. Well, heck, we still, because we're trying so many new things, there's always something, well, there's always something new to frustrate us. There's always something new. Oh, Sleeper has to go. Well, thanks for the chat. In an ideal world, I would try to go this time again live Saturday into Sunday, and then Monday maybe, well, during the day. Oh, that was the video. Okay, that's good, because it was, oh my gosh, I'll never to this day I still remember the moment when we saw that we didn't know what we were doing when it came to basing. We had no idea. Well, now I'm starting to do the what's it called? The true metallic metals. So stuff like this here, because I had never done this before at all. And this is actually metallic paint. Well, it's metallic medium. See that red? That is not red reflecting off the metal. That's red that's painted in there with using the metal medium. It is no kidding. Well, thanks, Sleeper. I'll catch you later. Let's see, what closet did you end up throwing the... Actually, it's sitting right over here. I still have it because, well, I use it so much now, the Pro Acryl stuff, that I better have it around because I'm going to run out of the Pro Acryl stuff. And then I'll go back to the Vallejo metal medium. Now, here we're just, look at this, we're getting some... Remember, that was just a glaze. That's all it took to knock that down. Oh, let's see. Here's some... I'm going to bring... Yeah, let's bring this out a bit more here, too. Let's do that. I don't want to lose this shadow area here, but I also want to do another little hint of an S. Yeah, I think you can see it. Yep, you could see that. Well, at least I could see it. Hopefully you could too. Get that around the corner. I'm going to get me some lighter, Mr. Skull face here. Oh, let's see later. Not dissing it. I send him a pack for free and he hasn't tried it. Oh, okay. Ah. Again, I'm kind of missing the context there. Well, let's put it this way. I'm going to send out some whispers. Well, later today, because tomorrow is today. And just kind of inquire who would want to do the mod thing and be the mod squad. Sadly, I don't think Twitch would let me use pictures of the actual mod squad, folks. Because that would be too much fun. And fun is not allowed, I suppose. Speaking of fun, let's get some fun highlights on my hair. Ah, see that? Now it starts to turn a little bit more there. Oh, Vince, yeah, I was, well, let's see. At some point, I'll have to do a multi-stream with Vince. I don't know how that would quite work out since his platform is YouTube. Actually, I want to try and do just multi-streams, period. So all of the folks out there in Twitch land who are more well-versed in things of that nature, you can feel free to educate me on such things, because that could be a whole lot of fun. It could be very fun. I'm going to get some more of this. Yeah, let's get some of this book cover here. It's looking a little too blasé. We don't need blasé. Oh, maybe we find some residual paint. Turn into cottage cheese. We kind of stopped using all of the GW stuff way back in the day because, well, doing videos with anything that had GW stuff in it could be hazardous to your health. You could have a black helicopter land on your lawn. We're just going for some reflected light. See down in there? Just a little hint of it. Just a hint of it. So that's when we started using all the Reaper paints, which I still use to this day. Now this is that faded purple here. I'm sorry, faded ultramarine. Ah, it is such a nice little color there. Such a nice little color. And remember this, I'm virtually painting this in the dark. If I had my regular lights on, I could actually see what the heck I was doing. And I could do even some more fine little details on that. Now let's get some gray in that skin tone right there. I was looking a little too pinkish. And now let's get some colors in the gemstone that actually are not magenta. And then let's get some lighter skin on the hands here. As you do, I think there should be a knuckle right there. let's get ourselves a bit of right there on the bottom of that blade. I still got to figure out what's going on here. So I'm going to treat that more as a padded leather armor than as something like stripes. I don't think I want to do that. But what I do want to do is maybe knock some of this down. Oils won't go bad for a millennia. Well, you've seen me pull out the oil paints that I got, what, 4 years ago? That are every bit as good today as when I first got them. And yet I will be doing some definite oil paints on those Dark Sword dragons for sure. That's kind of one of the reasons why they're on the way here. And the next, well, if you're looking for Song of Ice and Fire stuff in oils, the Targaryens, all those, the cavalry, that's going to be in oils. Now what I'm going to do, make myself even like a kind of half-tone gray out of this. I need to get some turn here. There we go. Because, okay, yes, the mustache and the goatee, they're getting on the, well, silver side, but if I just have them be white, then there's not going to be any kind of turn there at all. Oh, Technocrat, looking forward to the Targaryen stuff. Let's see, the amount of linseed oil is a binder in oils. Keep that stuff flowing for forever. It really does. It really does. Let's go a little bit of a light there. We got to do that same thing there. There is apparently a buckle here, so we will represent the buckle in some way. Now I'm going to get some edges on this metal lantern, something that I just kind of forgot about in all the excitement. We got parchment rolls here. What am I going to do with some of this stuff right here? I might just go, we don't have much in the way of red on the front side here, so let's do something like that here, just a hint of it there. And let's see if we'll lighten it with some of the green. Yes, I just used a light, very bright green. Very bright green to get some highlights into this. I'm going to triple down on it, double down on it. This is one of my favorite things actually to highlight red with, is some kind of insanely bright seafoam green. Because it doesn't get chalky. It actually kind of gives it a hint of purple. Kind of gives it a hint of purple. And I will go even one more round here. I know it's something that I did on that Artisan Guild figure as well. Yeah, see, now we got those little guys. They're starting to, they have a little more life to them. Let's do a glaze there on that part, the
Hello,
parchment.
little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Well, thank you for the follow, Cetrio. I appreciate it. Okay, let's not add that yellow right there. Let's do something like this. Let's do the faded ultramarine. Because there's just a whole lot of nothing going on with this, the top of this. We've got to get some shape in here. We can become shape obsessed. That's more like it. Yeah, there was really a whole lot of nothing happening there. So now we have a little bit, and we're gonna just gonna get a few little lights right here on these corners and these edges. Oh, the Vallejo model color cost 5 and the 17 mil. It's been a while since we've gotten any Vallejo color here, so I don't have a good price comparison for that. Xenotrauma has a massive pile of colors pile up behind my bed. Well, there's a lot of paint jars here, but they're just repeats of the same thing. Because, well, in a time when we were kind of trying to do the live classes and stuff, we needed that. All right, what we were gonna do here, what I've been intending to do, let's write something in here. Let's just write something. I haven't written anything on this yet, so let's get a, that's where the W would be. I'm just gonna, just like I did on the back, we're just gonna sketch it in like we sketched that in and then worked on it afterwards. We're gonna do the same thing here. Oh, Technocat asked if I was the, well, I've tried to get companies who make paint to make some oil paints, and they, unfortunately, they all will say the same thing. Nobody will buy, they won't sell well enough. They will not sell well. That's what they always insist. And I try to tell them that, well, that's because you're giving people the idea that they've got these weird solvents in them and that they're only for weathering and that they're only for this or for that, that you can't just use them like regular miniature paints. And they have been so successful in scaring people away from oils that they just, and it's weird because you've seen it, you've seen the reaction to the oils as I make myself a little bit of an Unchel E here.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you for the follow, Taman. Appreciate it. Now we need to do an L over here. Doing a bit of an L there. And then we'll just kind of go with a bit of an I here. And then we're going to let that fade away. And now let's start to make some parts of this brighter. Let's see. Oh, they're asking where they're located. Oh, Trier, Germany. Ah, for me to hand make them is just kind of, well, that would be a bit too much labor. And then, well, shipping them. Speaking of shipping, that would be a difficult thing to do, is to ship those things. But I do love my oil paints, and when I made those, I think I told you that they were for my classes at Adepticon because I couldn't get, there was no way I could order or afford 100 oil brushers. There was no way that was happening, so I just basically made my own. And as much as I love the oil brushes, I kind of like mine better. Alright, so much like we did on the other side here. So this will be a little kind of a Wayback Machine here for some folks. We're going to take our brush here. We still got some of the original blue and brown liner over here. Right? I'll take this. Can you see it? Now you don't. So we just set that up. We set that pin up and we knocked it down. Just a little bit of a glaze. So that the P right there, it starts to disappear behind the wall of that glaze, which is the kind of thing that we were doing over here on the back. Let's see, ordered some Liquitex inks from Amazon. It's the Kilted Viking. Hey, sorry if I missed you there before. Oh, thanks, Citrio, for the kind words about the freehand. It's something that I just love. I think I showed them this earlier when they ask if I'm missing 2D art. Well, I still get to do it, just in miniature. Ooh, let me see if I can grab this. Give me a second here. Give me a second. 1 second here. Hopefully I didn't disconnect the mic. So there is another little example of some freehand. It's a piece of pink foam. That's all it is. That's all that is. And again, a lot of these bases and a lot of the stuff I cover in the army painting tutorials on the Patreon page, so that people really get a nice, what would you say, just a nice overall view of how it's all integrated. The object source lighting, the freehand. Because people say, well, you must paint a vehicle different than you paint a miniature or a bust. I said, no, they're all just miniatures. It's all the same thing. Lights and darks are the same. Cast light is the same. Reflected light is the same. It's all the same. Doesn't matter whether it's a bust, a land raider, a dragon. I don't care. It's all the same. Now, one might take a bit more work to get through than another one. That's for sure. That's true. Oliver, ghost in the house. How are you doing? I'm just I'm enjoying this. This is, well, this is me. This is quite literally me here that I am painting, and this has been really, really, really fun. Really fun. You know, I'm going to see if I can't get that just to be a touch lighter there. I'm going to see if I can work in a little more. Believe it or not, I'm going to try and work in more green into the skin. But I'm also going to get some red over here too. So there's our kind of a greenish gray. Let's work that over into here. Because this, just knowing me, this line has to blur a little. Ah, that's it. That line needed to blur a bit more. It was getting to be a really hard line right there. I said, that ain't right. See, over here we had it. That's the way I wanted it to be over there on that side. Let's get some more reflected light there. Was this a Wappellious spell brush, I believe? That's what I was told that my guy is here, which is pretty darn cool. Yep, let's see. Lady B has been trying to get the Winsor Newton inks since Christmas. Huh. I haven't really used any. Haven't used any kind of inks in, well, almost ever, kind of. I know some folks, they really did get used to those. See that little hint of the bright red in there? Oh, gee, I'm going to maybe get some of that over here too. If anything, to contrast with all the bright green that the object source lighting has been casting down on, well, me, because that's me. Is that true? Yes, it is. It's called Wappellious Spell Brush, and it's from Artisan Guild, and you can buy it. You can buy it. I've got also a 54 millimeter version of this, so maybe we do that one in oils, and I can build more of a diorama around it. This was already printed on the base, and I would have felt bad ripping them off the base, or ripping me off the base, anyways. You know what? I'm gonna get out some more of them. This is your fluorescent orange right here. Oh, Pendrake noted the name down and okay, it's a whisper. Yeah, that's the other thing. I didn't realize what whispers were. I did not know what whispers were until I kind of looked. I had notices, and one of them was a whisper. I'm like, what the heck is a whisper? Now we're gonna see that. Gonna pick up a couple of orange do thingies here. That's a highly technical paint term, do thingies. Ah, yes, this is what it needs. See those lines right in there? Definitely needed those. I do believe I can get me some lighter versions of that even. Can you see that? I think you can. I do believe you can. And let's get some more right across that. Now, what about on my little buckle over here? I'm going to get out some More of my clear yellow. Again, this is the Reaper Clears. Reaper Clears. Now I'm going to just find me a few open spots on the palette here, if I can. I'm going to try and get the fingers on Benny. Oh, I'm going to get the underside of his nose, maybe. Yeah, underside of his nose, a little bit on his face. Now the ends of his fingers, if I can. Right there on the front edge of my knee. Thereabouts. We're going to get some more over here on our, yes. Some more of the clear yellow here. Almost stuck that in a pile of water. That would have been very handy. So for the folks who just are a little bit newer here, haven't seen how this is played out, I do suggest maybe going back to towards the beginning and see just how different all of this was. Because we quite literally started with sponges and this big old brush. That is what we started with. And you can see we refine, because this did not look anything like this whatsoever. And we've only, geez, we only actually been at this a little over 3 hours. And that's with me, you know, grabbing other miniatures and doing the black and white thing. Oh, let's get a touch of the yellow on the underside of that lamp. So I think now, yes, we got 3 different colors of lights. We got the green here, we've got the magenta there, now the orange here. And I'm going to go back and we're going to kill all the color here. So you can't tell the difference between the color of those light sources, but they're light. You know, over here you can't even tell that the difference between the red and the green, but when we bring it back, as we will, now you just see the difference of your red and green balanced against each other. This is another reason why I wanted this cloak to be more neutral. It's sort of it's like a buffer zone between these two areas here.